Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between Two Preachers. I'm your host, Colby.
And I'm your host, Carson.
And we got a pretty exciting show lined up for you today. We got a few interesting topics. Carson, lead off.
All right, well, something I'm going to lead off on is, me and you, we early in our, I guess what you would call ministry, we were, all we were doing was evangelizing. Yeah, early days, but, and something that really kind of gave us a boost was, I met a pastor in Gatlinburg that gave us these tracts to give out to people, and I felt like it really gave us a boost, and I ended up getting to speak to him the other day because I was out that way, and I don't know, he gave me some good advice, and we got to talking for a good little while. I actually bought a hat from him. He actually does those what do you call those, where they spray paint the shirts and
T-shirt shop kind of up there.
Yeah, it's one of those. You know what I'm talking about, where they almost like spray paint the shirts and whatnot.
Oh,
What's that called?
airbrush.
Yeah, airbrush. But he does that, and I got a hat just from him just so I could talk to him a little while. But he kind of gave me a verse that I never really saw in that context, and it's good for people that are out there trying to evangelize people or invite people to church. It's Matthew 10:16. It's behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that's something you can really use, I feel like, in evangelizing people, or just talking to people about Jesus. If you want to be kind of slick about it, because remember I told you I was trying to put that track somewhere in that bathroom, and I pulled the tape off the back of the door so I could stick it to the mirror where people be able to see it.
So now you've just made the cleaning folks mad.
now the employees won't know to wash their hands before they go back to work.
Well, at least they'll get a little Bible tract. They'll be able to look up there and read, even if they don't wash their hands. But
oh yeah, they'll be able to cleanse their spirit.
There you go. But how else would you apply that?
I was just kind of amazed how I was able to apply it. Just those words just kept kind of ringing in my head. Just to be as wise as a serpent. Just find those sneaky little ways to put tracks somewhere, or to sneak in a conversation. Like he was saying to me, maybe like I don't know. I had a NASCAR hat on. He was like, well, talk to them. If they had a NASCAR hat, just say, hey, did you see that race? And just kind of sneak it into, Jesus or something like that. And it's kind of easier than just going up to somebody and say, do you know Jesus? Or what do you know about God?
Kind of use it as an icebreaker in a way.
Yeah.
Another way that you can sneak it in there is if you're talking to somebody, which I've watched a preacher do this whenever we were out there fishing with him, or I was out there fishing with him, excuse me. We pulled up to a boat ramp, and there was a guy, and it seemed like a regular old middle-aged guy, he middle to late aged, and we were just talking, and the preacher was talking to him, and the guy said something. I think he said like the SH word, or the D word or something like that. And instead of like jumping all over the guy or something, he kind of corrected him, but he didn't do it like ugly, where the guy almost didn't even know he was correcting him. Like he just brought up. You said, yeah. He said that, and he said, yeah, the Lord. We're just out here enjoying the day the Lord's created for us, or something like that, and it brought it up, and it
almost kind of let it
mouth.
Yeah, because it almost kind of, in a way, kind of reminds him the God's watching them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What was that at the tournament for the preacher?
Yeah, benefit tournament for your preacher.
Was he in the tournament?
No, he was. We just pulled up at a different boat ramp to fish around it, and that
Yeah.
guy was putting in his bass boat, and we got
Uh-huh.
talking to him, and but it was something like that to see how you can just a gentle little nudge like that. You don't have to go out there, sir. You don't use that language around me.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
you
a
know,
pastor. Don't say that around me.
yeah, or something like that. Just a little tiny nudge, like he just brought up, it's a wonderful day, or I'm paraphrasing for him. Don't want
Yeah.
to put words in his mouth, but it's just a wonderful day the Lord's created for us, or something like that. And it was kind of like somebody tapped him on his shoulder in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's a gentle reminder that, God's watching them. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty good. And kind of going off that point, something that I kind of heard a while back was, it was from, I know you've seen him. I sent you videos of him, that little young guy, Bryce Crawford.
Yeah.
But he was talking about, he was having a podcast with a guy, just an atheist guy. And the atheist guy was talking about how the atheist guy, he's got a podcast of his own. He'll get on podcasts with these supposed Christians, but never once will they ever bring up like God or anything in the conversation. And that's something I think, yeah, that's something I at least I try to work on more is, if I'm in a conversation with somebody, I don't know where they're at, biblically or spiritually. I always want to try to bring up God and I try to skirt the conversation that direction if I can a lot of times.
Yeah, point it in that point it in that God direction.
Yeah, at least just bring up God in some kind of way, cause.
Yeah.
But
well,
it's just a sneaky thing I do.
Talk about one that it kind of plays into this a little bit. That's inviting people to church, and like I know that me and you talked before the episode about church growth and stuff like that. Well, I'm gonna kind of point us in that direction, and I'll say like tonight. Now, folks, I'm not bragging, not holy is me or anything like that, but we're speaking from experience here, like inviting people to church. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest. This is something I've never done before. I've never been a part of a church or anything that I wanted to help succeed and help it grow and help other people hear the good news. And I went into the gas station tonight, and I was coming home we had a fish fry at church tonight, and so we were coming home from that, and I went in to get me an energy drink, which I know I shouldn't be drinking, and I went in, and the little clerk back there, I got done paying and stuff, and I said one more thing. I started just to walk out. I wanted just to walk out, but I said one more thing. I'd like to invite you to church, and we'd love to have you. And I told her where it was and, the church name and stuff. And it just that one little kind gesture, it seemed like it really took hold and that she really cared about it, if you follow what I'm saying. I guess that a lot of people don't show kindness and genuine compassion in a way. And whenever somebody receives that, it's kind of like a smack in the face. They don't know what to do. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I didn't force her or say anything, I just told her that we'd love to have you, and I told her where it was, and I said, I don't even know if you go to church or you may have a church, but I just wanted to invite you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing I kind of thought about is, people, we always kind of think about evangelizing people, and it really is hard to just go up to somebody and just ask them what they think about Jesus and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of times, I'll not be ashamed to tell you if I want to bring somebody to the Lord, sometimes I'll just kind of invite them to church and kind of kick the responsibility over to the pastor
Shame on you, boy.
to do that work, because evangelism in that way is just kind of, it's almost kind of confrontational in a way. You're kind of going up against their beliefs, and sometimes you have to kind of break down their beliefs, because they might have just complete total misconceptions about some God or Jesus or churches
Yeah,
that you have to work through.
that's
But
another thing too. Don't mean to cut you off, but uh, whenever we were witnessing and we were talking and stuff this tonight, um, about how people want to wall themselves in a way they don't. It take vulnerability to, I'm talking about, to say, yeah, I'd like to go to church, or, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And sometimes it's hard to break down that wall, kind of like what you were talking about, break down their misconceptions and stuff like that. But for them to, like, you can tell, like, if you truly witnessing to somebody who wants to hear what you say, they want to, like me and you've talked about before, they just want to tell their story. They really do, but you can see them be hesitant too. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, yeah. I It does, and it's something I'm kind of realizing lately is it's hard for some people to go to church because they always feel like they're going to be judged in some way
yeah,
or looked at a certain way. And I mean, I get that. And I guess for me, I didn't really have a home church, and we bounced from church to church to church, and it was easy for me to just go to a brand new church. And but some people it's not. Some people it's like they're nervous about visiting a
yeah,
new church. Like Amanda,
eh,
she was nervous about us visiting y'all's church. I was like, why? And I did, but she'd only gone to one church really her pretty much her whole life, and I didn't. I just didn't. Some people it's just kind of nerve wracking to pop into a
yeah.
new church.
Well, think about it from too, not just a new church, but like they've never been or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And
They don't. Maybe they don't think they have the right clothes to wear. You know.
yeah, don't know how to dress or something, and then they come in a Southern Baptist church and they wearing shorts and a t-shirt or something like that, and everybody looking at them like they're crazy. I mean, you think they're gonna be back? You know what I'm saying?
Uh huh. Yeah. That's. I even spoke to your pastor about it kind of today. Some churches they take that stuff pretty seriously, like not dressing properly in church. But
Yeah,
like
there's a
that's one
difference.
thing that's got to change.
Yeah, no, there truly is a difference between like trying to be disrespectful versus somebody who's not as well off or doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you go for the first time and you wear shorts and stuff and see that, well, nobody else is wearing shorts, and it takes you a few times before it clicks on or something, but most of the time you'll pick up on it. But it versus like, I remember, we ain't gonna say names or anything, but he said one lady showed up to church in a bikini. I think you remember him telling the teacher that at seminary school.
I don't.
Well, it was. He goes to your church, I believe. He's filled in some, and but he was telling the teacher, and I was just kind of eavesdropping, not really eavesdropping. I was just standing over there and happened to hear. And he said the lady showed up in a bikini, and he was just kind of asking the teacher, like, how are they supposed to, like, what do you do? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah.
anybody in their right mind, honestly, should know that, like, a church, like shorts and stuff like that, like, I'm not knocking nobody or anything. That's no problem. You're not trying to be disrespectful. You know what I'm talking about? But whenever you wear a bikini, you just know better. Everybody knows better. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you'd probably be surprised though. I mean, I'm sure there's people probably never set foot in a church. They don't know what the dress code is. They don't. I mean, that's just, and they don't even probably realize that they're being underdressed. I remember. You remember that lady? She used to live close to y'all. Y'all used to call her the bikini lady. 'Cause she
Yeah.
used to be out
Yeah.
like a.
In
But you'd see her like
Lagrange.
a. Yeah, you'd see her like at Dollar General in her bikini, and I mean, I'm sure that never even occurred to her that she probably wasn't, properly dressed. And I guess I mean it's entirely different from church, but I don't know. Some people just may not have quite the. I don't know. Maybe they just don't. I mean, I think there just is around for them just to not know. I mean, it would never cross our minds to go and swim in trunks, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get out there in a speedo and like decide, I'm gonna walk down the altar, or you know what I'm saying? But what? Let's be honest here. What? Why do women like the little skimpy bikinis and stuff like that?
Oh yeah.
It
I think the better
brings
question
attention.
is, yeah, but I think the better question is, how do you approach those kind of people? Like,
Yeah.
what do you say? And I mean, you obviously can't let them keep coming to church
No.
dressed in bikini, but but
Maybe if you were leading the church, you could. But
but you just gotta, even with those people, even if you, I mean, you never know. Maybe they just really just don't know. But
yeah,
you have to approach them and tell them, you know, that.
treat them as if they don't know.
Yeah, and shorts and flip flops. That
I
to me, if
understand
I
that.
as a pastor, I wouldn't even bat an
No,
eye at
no.
that. But like a bikini, you'd have to say something to that, and you'd have to come from love and come from a
Right.
soft spot for them, because
And I'm
you don't want to run them
paraphrasing
out.
here too, but I think that the teacher said, he's well versed in this stuff, started churches and all that, I believe. Uh, but I think he said you just have to ask her to cover up. You know what I'm talking about? Because if she's really there and doesn't know, I mean, be nice about it. But if she's really there and just doesn't know, she should have no problems covering up. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
As in,
no, I agree with
here's
that.
a robe or something. Like what the choir wears or something. I mean, just my
Yeah,
thoughts.
I
And
think
if
it was
she's
me
really,
as a go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think if it was me as a pastor, I would just kind of have a conversation with after church, just friendly conversation, and say, "Hey, look, if you need some, we got T-shirts here. If you'd like for you to wear one of those next time you come out, just because
But the thing is, there, as long as you're nice and respectful about it, if she still says no or shows up next time like that you have to draw a line somewhere. This is the
yeah,
church.
oh yeah,
This is a house of God. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not saying that that's even
uh
where he
huh,
really dwells, but you don't want to have that going
yeah,
on. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, just to kind of get this conversation in a row for people that are listening might be kind of lost. We don't think if you're wearing shorts and a
No,
t-shirt,
no, no, no.
it's a bad thing. If I was a pastor, I wouldn't even say a word to you about it. You come next week dressed the exact same way, but eventually there
Right.
comes a point where you're improperly dressed,
Whenever
like if you're wearing a bikini or something like that, or maybe you're a
something
man and
really
you're not wearing a shirt.
revealing, or
Yeah,
yeah,
and and if it's a man without a shirt, you wouldn't want to embarrass him or anything. You just want to give him a shirt that he could wear.
yeah.
But I don't think there's. I know you'd be the same way, thinking there's just no real dress code at church. But
No,
obviously
I
there's
agree.
always a line.
Yes, yes, completely. Like shorts or something like that. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Just so I
a
was saying that
difference
just
between
so
being
everybody.
needy and versus like, I mean, don't show up in a thong and you know what I'm saying. Like
Oh yeah.
like there's a line,
Uh huh. No,
and it's
I
kind of one of them
I
things
I
too.
agree.
I think that you have to use judgment as a pastor. Like once we finally start pastoring and stuff like that. I mean, if they, and not to actually judge, but kind of judge righteously, as in, if they seem like they're not as well off and stuff like that, and their clothes are like, let's say they're tattered and holy and stuff like that. There's a big difference between that and actually trying to like take attention, like Miss Bikini Lady. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Whenever they don't like. She wore all that stuff at Dollar General because she thought she was good looking. She'd strut around in her yard and all that, and you knew that's what she was doing. I'm sorry, but that you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're 100% on the same page with that. I just wanted to clarify to everybody,
Yeah,
we're not
no,
we would never bat an eye if somebody doesn't show up in a polo shirt. Just want to make sure you at least have clothes on.
yeah. I mean, T-shirt, whatever. I mean, it just, there's just a line that, like, and like we've said, that you just don't want to kind of cross.
Yeah, but even, I mean, here's something for you to think about. Even sometimes ladies might come in dresses that are a little too revealing, It might be a
Yeah.
$100 dress, but it's, she's looking all boobylicious and boob hanging every which way. I mean, that to me is, I mean, not quite the same extreme, but it's, that's, sometimes they're
yeah.
kind of drawing attention there, maybe intentionally or not.
Yeah. There's lines each way. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can take that line either way. You can be wearing like the nicest thing in the world, but if it's too revealing, it's still too revealing.
Yeah.
I mean,
now, how do you address that as a pastor? Maybe a woman's at your church.
I know the teacher. He said he got on to him one time. He said all these women up here wiggling and jiggling and called him out on it.
Yeah,
but I've had that happen before at church, like not being ugly or anything, like, but older lady, and it was a little revealing, and she came up and talked to him, and I wasn't looking or anything, like whenever I seen her walk in or something, like. But believe you me, pal, whenever I say that I never broke eye contact, my eyes were starting. It felt like they were about to crack because I wasn't wanting to blink or anything. Because me and her were locked eyes, and I wasn't. You know what I'm talking about? Because I didn't even want to be thought of that I was trying to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Like it.
Yeah.
It made me not nervous, but like I made sure whenever I did go to blink, I turned my body nearly about all the way around. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, in a way, we're supposed to be above reproach. I don't even want anybody to think, oh, well, he was looking at my chest. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Yeah. If you were the pastor, how would you address that? Would you say something, or would you kind of carry on and just kind of?
I don't know. Doggone, that'd be hard. If you did say something, I wouldn't call her out.
No,
you know
yeah, no.
It would
No,
be like I make a
definitely not.
statement to the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be a tough one. I guess it would depend on how she dresses each week. If it got to a point where it was kind of a problem,
like going to the club or something.
Well, I'm just talking about like if she's every week she's coming with a dress that's like totally revealing, then I think you'd have to step in. But if it's just like one dress, she slips on and maybe it's a little too revealing, then I guess you just kind of have to.
I would probably, if it really got to the point where if it was just one dress or something, I'd probably say, but then again, it'd be hard to, as a pastor, not to come off as hitting on somebody or something. I'd probably say, that if she wore one that was really like where she was nice and covered up and it was like a classy looking dress and stuff, I'd probably try, without trying to sound like I was hitting on her or something like that, I'd probably be like, that sure is a pretty dress, or you know what I'm saying. But then you run into the thing, well, he's talking to a woman, you know what I'm saying. And
then she's gonna think you're noticing the cleavage she's got going on with it.
No, well, I was talking about the saying that.
You
see what I'm saying? Like the one that was covered up and had no cleavage or anything was a really pretty dress.
Yeah, now I see.
Or just say that you look nice today, like without flirting or something. I don't know. That just makes me nervous in a way. I don't want to talk to no woman unless my wife's there.
Yeah, no, well, and as a pastor, you're not supposed to. I don't think it's anything biblical. It's just something I've been taught.
Yeah, it just keeps you above reproach.
Yeah, you have to maintain that testimony. Even if they're like calling you, wife has to be right there with you.
Yeah.
But it's a tough situation. I hope we don't have to run into that, but I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
It's something we'll have to
not necessarily
tackle.
Just my wife, but if there's like another somebody at least. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be alone.
Yeah,
You know
maybe
what
like
I'm
a
saying?
deacon.
Yeah, a deacon, or I mean her husband or something. Like if she's calling to talk about something, I'd make sure that like if they wanted to keep it private and I didn't have my wife, at least her husband as accompanying her. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
That way, there's no hey, I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Uh huh. Oh yeah.
It,
Yeah. Like I said, I hope we don't. I hope we don't never have to encounter that one. But if
gonna
we
be
do,
facing allegations.
yeah, that'll be a tough one to handle.
But one thing about that though is the Lord doesn't send you unprepared.
No.
If we're gonna have to cross that bridge one day, He's gonna prepare us for it.
Yeah, and we'll have to pray
I'd
for
have no
wisdom
problem.
and.
I'd have no problem whatsoever announcing it if like she tried somebody talk like a woman tried to talk to me after the service or something while people are still around just trying to get my attention to say, hey, I need to talk to you. I'd have no problem saying, well, can you make sure your husband's there with you? You know what I'm saying? Even
Yeah,
if you
or
want to keep it
let
private.
me grab a deacon real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things you got to definitely watch out for. And that's one thing I've been taught. You know, cowboys, you call him. You know, when I was doing that meeting with him, he was
Yeah.
telling me sometimes you get those drunk calls from a woman late at night, and you have to you have to shake your wife awake, and put it on speakerphone for her to hear. It's kind of the shows that the first lady, as a lot of people call them in the church, they have a lot of responsibilities too.
They do. They do a lot. I've never really cared for all that much. So you know what I'm talking about? Like
What's that?
like the parking spots and stuff you see
Oh
at some
no, no,
churches. Like
no,
the
definitely not.
first lady parking and all. I don't even like if I were to have my own church, I wouldn't even have a preacher parking or anything. I'm no better than the
No,
man that sits up there on the back pew or anything. You know what I'm
no.
talking about? Or
I never like even the term first lady.
yeah,
I think it kind of makes the
like you better.
like yeah. I I don't like that term at all. It's just just what I've heard it been called before. But
Yeah, yeah,
I I like how your church does that, like the elderly parking. But
yeah,
that's about as far as I'd go with handicap and elderly parking. That'd be about it.
yeah. It like I'm no better than nobody, anybody. You know what I'm talking about? Like I mean, why should I have a parking spot up front? I'd rather that be used for elderly or disabled or something like that.
Yeah,
Like my
or
preacher
new
says, the
guests.
only thing good in us is Jesus Christ. You know
Uh huh.
what?
Yeah.
Right? It's like sometimes, like you say, a title like that can go to some people's heads, and you've seen them like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Uh huh. Yeah. It can for sure, and then I don't know that they what I'm talking about. They just kind of like start
Yeah,
thinking
like
they're above the church, and
entitled. Yeah,
yeah, and that's just a death mark on a church there.
yeah, it is.
That's how you get these false prophets and these false teachers.
Yeah. It What about like laser shows and stuff like that you see? Some of them. I remember I sent you a video. It was one a guy came in on like a zip line, and I think the title was whenever so and so church, like it was made by a different denomination or something like that. But whenever they talk about Jesus for 30 seconds, and the guy he was attached to them wires and stuff, and he was standing there
Yeah.
on stage, and he went doing backflips.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good place for it to start, huh?
It's funny though, like you have them old churches I guess it's ugly to say old, but like it seems like they're dying sometimes just because they won't give an inch. And then you also have it on that end too, where it's just a laser light show and no word gets preached, no true word gets preached.
Yeah.
Besides, Jesus wants to bless you, and that's it. And
Yeah.
it's like you have to have a happy medium sometimes, like contemporary or something like that's good. And
Yeah.
like there's a medium between it, all of it, you too much on this side where you come in cutting cartwheels, ziplining in and stuff like that. That's no good. You're not there to
No.
celebrate you or put on a performance or anything. You're there to worship God. And then on the
Yeah.
other end too, like different generations and like Gen X, Gen Z, however they go, baby boomers and stuff. They like different things because that's just how it is. And if you don't transform a little bit or give a little bit on that, I'm not saying like with the word, but just we're not going to play anything newer than 2007. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. A church, good way to put it is a church, they can't be afraid to evolve
Right,
and grow, but to the growth should be pushing the gospel.
right, right,
It can't be just about making music great just, to have a cool church. It should be making music great so that more people can hear the gospel and feel the spirit moving.
yeah,
That should the main goal and the main mission of the church should be to push the gospel and bring lost souls in. That really should be the main purpose of
right,
the church, and to
and
edify its members
yeah,
and
and
equip
like
them.
I just being honest, I like a little bit of both. I honestly lean myself a little bit more to the traditional, like everybody will be happy over there type music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But I'm not afraid for them to sing a contemporary song or pick some contemporary songs and make it a mix and match. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah,
And there's a place where everybody can be happy. There's a happy medium for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like where truly like a lot of people can overlook a little tiny thing if they really care about it.
yeah. Like I told you, I don't. There's nothing wrong with any kind of music unless it's just like there's nothing wrong with contemporary music. There's nothing wrong with Southern gospel music as long as it's got the right messages.
Right.
I There's nothing wrong with any of it. A lot of people, I know the older generations, they don't like it,
Newer
but
generations don't like the older generations' music
yeah,
and vice versa.
uh-huh. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I kind of got in that trap for a while where I thought the Southern gospel stuff was kind of killing the churches, and because
and
they weren't afraid to.
I was the other
You
way. I was, well, that contemporary music, it doesn't have any soul to it. You know what I'm talking about? It has no meat on it. I mean, if you took out, if you played it to a different song, you wouldn't be able to tell it wasn't talking about your girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and some of us like that.
And there's some old Southern gospel songs that don't make a lick of sense. But everyone, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back, everybody.
Had to take a little bit of a potty break, but we're going to get back here into Proverbs. We kind of enjoyed how it went last week with just our little back and forth with it. I think it's going to be a weekly thing we do is just kind of discuss a verse me and him had picked out in Proverbs, and then we might just jump to a random one like we did last time and
Scratch
see if we
out
can
of it.
decipher it. But oh yeah. But go ahead
All
with
right.
yours. I know you had
Well, let's go around. I'm out of the
had a pretty good one.
not NIV, but New King James. I have a hard time trying to memorize the abbreviations. But so it ain't gonna be completely like last week. But I chose for mine that I wanted to discuss. It's probably what my next video is gonna come on. I've just got to chase down all the leads on it and see where the Holy Spirit wants me to go. But it's gonna be chapter 15, verse 3 out of Proverbs, and I'll read it for you. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. You know, that, I'll just go ahead, I'll lead off on this one, so I'll let you lead off on the one you picked out. But to me, that's saying, God, He sees everything. There ain't no place that's hidden from Him. We may think that we have a dirty little secret that don't nobody know about or anything like that, and you're in the clear for it and stuff, but it's all going to come out in the end. He's watching the evil and He's watching the good. You do something good. That's why in Matthew chapter, I believe it's 6, correct me if I'm wrong, Carson. I know I'm dove a little bit more into Matthew than you, but whenever He's talking about, we tithe and we do good things and help others and stuff like that, I'm paraphrasing that, but we do it in secret and we pray in secret and stuff so that the Lord sees us and He'll reward us for it being in secret. And I'm not preaching no prosperity or anything like that. God rewards people in different ways and all that. And I'm not even going to go into like the rewarding, but it everything that we do, whether we think it's unseen or we know that it's seen by the Lord, it's seen by Him. It states it right here, and this ties right back into that. I'd rather be be doing a bunch of good things in secret and Him seeing it than doing a bunch of evil things in secret. In this day and age, it's easy to do a bunch of evil things in secret. You don't have to look hard if you really want to. All you really have to do is turn on your phone and you can go down that rabbit hole, and you think nobody knows, nobody sees, or anything, but there's always a set of eyes on us, and we're going to pay for it one day too.
Yeah. Even something as minuscule as, maybe somebody's on TikTok and they don't look a certain way that we like, and we might feel that urge to make fun of them, like a lot of people do in the comments on TikTok. Something I noticed about TikTok is like they are quick to make fun of somebody and tear people down, and you do that behind screens and people never really know who you are making fun of these people, but there's one that does.
Think about it, even our thoughts.
And
you want to think about is it anonymity? How you'll know the word I'm talking about. No, it's where you
immunity.
Retain like a shroud of like nobody knows who you are. Anonymity. Is that what it is?
Oh, anonymity.
Anonymity. Yeah.
Like anonymous.
Like it's anonymous. Well, think about our minds and stuff. You see something. A lady wearing. Just speaking frankly here, like a bikini or something.
Like what we were talking
about. Don't she look good? Or something like that. That's lust. Nobody ever knows it except you. It was in your thoughts. You didn't speak it, but good Lord sees it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
A curse word that's said under your breath, or you think one or something like that. He sees it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Something we got to realize, something good verse that stuck with me for a while was everything that's done in the dark we brought to the light. So there's none. Yeah. Yeah, none of these sins that we think we're getting away with are.
It ties right in. You can
getting
see
away
how
with.
This ties into that, and that ties into Matthew 6, I believe it is, and it may be Matthew 7, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a good one to remember for sure.
But let's jump over there into yours. Which ones you have picked out? And I'll flip to it and find it as you read it.
All right. I'm in chapter
Proverbs.
12, verses 25, and I'll go ahead and read. Yep, Proverbs. It's anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. Now you see a lot of stuff nowadays about like mental health. That's like a real big thing nowadays, is mental health and people dealing with anxiety and depression. But it says right here, just but a good word makes it glad. Like maybe like Colby's dealing with depression, and I just say something good about him. That that'll cheer his heart up, and you never know how our just smaller remarks can help people out that are just maybe in a funk or dealing with depression. I, I think it's I don't know, that's where I'm at
verse
with
did
that
you
one.
say it is?
What you
Chapter
got
12,
on
what? 25.
25?
Yeah, it to me kind of like what you said. Anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. If you have how some of our gifts and stuff are that it talks about, like encouragement. That I think wasn't that a gift out of was it 2 Corinthians? I forget. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you got somebody worrying something like Carson's worrying about something, I say, man, we got this. We're in God's hands. He ain't gonna give us anything. You know what I'm talking about? He it's all according to his plans and stuff. I mean, there's been times
Uh-huh.
I'll pull out. I don't think you'll mind. Like you were mad that day about something. I forget what it was, and I just called you out of the blue because I was talking about some other Bible verse or something. Remember? And it stuck with me that you said that you've been
Yeah.
mad that day about something, and I said, well, I don't even know where I quoted from, but let not your heart be troubled. Or
You
and
said, yeah,
it's funny how like
that was
things
it.
work out like that, and that cheered you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a good word can really just change somebody's trajectory. Just something like that can. We never know how. That's why we gotta. I think as Christians have to keep a kind heart and a kind tongue. Really, we have to speak kind to people and build people up instead of, like I said, that one sermon I had is using the Bible or using Jesus as a weapon to tear people down. But I think that's all I got on that one. You want to jump to a random one now?
Do it again this go around.
All right. I'm really just doing it random. I'm just kind of flipping to a random page and
Sure.
laying my finger on one. So let's. I'm reading this and I don't really know what it means, but I'll read it. It says, it's chapter 17, right. Verse 17. I'll go ahead and read it. It's, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but I actually looked into that one the other day. And because it stuck out to me. And a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
Now I'll read my little note here, and maybe it'll jog something in your mind. I'm in here in the study Bible. It says, the difference between a friend and a brother is noted here. A true friend is a constant source of love, while a brother in one's family may not be close, but is drawn near to help in trouble. Friends are closer than brothers because they are available at all times, not just in the crisis.
Well, think about the greatest friend that we have.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, I feel like you could have picked a better one.
Well, here, let's flip to another one. Let's try to get us a good one out of here. And maybe I'll comment and give us a good little word on that. We're kind of drawing a blank on that one. All right. Here's another one. It is chapter 13, verse 9. It says, the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. I kind of saw that one earlier when we were kind of flipping through, but I kind of thought about like this, like I don't know, it's kind of a silly little like illustration, but like, say there's a rainstorm coming, but the righteous, they have the the flashlight. But and it's a dark, stormy night, but the wicked, they have a candle, and rainstorm's kind of like God, When we go in that rainstorm, their little light's gonna get put out, but ours is gonna keep on shining
right through it. Versus, it.
Yeah.
To me, the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked will be put out. You could also bring that whenever coming to Judgment Day, too. That the light that shines in us causes us to rejoice and stuff, and the whatever light they have in them, it's going to be put out whenever we're separated. I forget where it says. I think it's in Matthew, but the kingdom of heaven is like I'm going to paraphrase it probably terribly, but a shepherd who had goats and sheep, and he put his goats on one side and sheep on the other, and you know what I'm paraphrasing? And basically, he's going to separate and put to death or send to hell the wicked ones. They're going to be snuffed out. Whatever's causing them to live. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like they're going to be cast in the lake of fire and stuff. But we're going to rejoice at the end whenever it's all said and done. I know that I, for a fact, am going to reign with Christ one day. Versus them, they're just going to be snuffed out. They're not going to exist anymore. At least, not with us.
Yeah. And kind of another way to put it is our light's going to keep on shining forever. I just kind of going to your point because we're going to live on forever with God, while they might be living. They might be happy living in their sin. They might be happy, sleeping around, partying, and carrying on. But eventually, they're living for themselves. But eventually, that light's going to get put out of them. That whatever happiness they got going on, if they don't repent, that's going to be put out real quick come Judgment Day.
You could almost going back to this too is like our life. This might be silly or whatnot, but going to how our life and as we age, and let me put it this way, like as the righteous age and get closer to death, knowing everybody's gonna hold that row, we rejoice and are happy, but that's it for them, that their death. Once they're dead and gone.
Yeah.
They in a way, the end is just the beginning for us.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and kind of is for them, but not. It's the end of their light, but it's. But something we kind of talked about earlier. I guess we milked everything we could out of those two verses, but we were kind of talking to your pastor earlier about like growing churches, and he kind of gave us a little bit of wisdom on that. But just sometimes holding events is a good way to
the question was,
grow churches.
Is there anything that we could do? We kind of got a fire in us as of right now to help that church grow and stuff. It's small compared to your church, and I want to see that church just explode like yours has, and I think behind him, he's a pastor just like yours. That it will, but I want to help it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something me and you definitely have a passion for, is for like a church like that to see it just grow. We want to be behind them and help pushing
right.
the wagon, getting it going. But something me and you were kind of wondering on is, how do you make a church grow like it? And it's more than events. It's what do you think we can do? It's just normal people to help a church grow.
Like
what would you say?
We asked, have you thought about putting out signs and stuff like that? And like you said, even going door to door knocking, inviting people. But like he said, whenever he didn't correct. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he gave us a rebuke or anything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just like
No, no, no.
being there at the church, letting everybody see that it's alive. You know what I'm saying? And having events and stuff like
Yeah.
that there, and letting everybody see, like I said, that the church is alive. I mean, that's a big part of it. You know, waving, like he said, at everybody that passes by and stuff, just smiling at them and waving. I mean, just a simple
Yeah.
tiny, like the gas station lady, just, hey, we'd love to have you. I don't know if you go to church or anything like that, but here we are. If you ever feel like you want to go, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Is it's kind of what he was hinting at, was with waving at people,
Yeah,
is just kind of showing
yeah,
that joy that we got being there, and that that Jesus is in that place, and kind of to your point about, you were talking about how it
yeah,
kind of lit her up to, not in a bad way, but kind of just
yeah.
to
You could
see that
tell
people
it,
were
like
inviting
she
her to
didn't just
church.
brush it off. Like
It
she really like thought of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just, oh yeah, well, maybe one
yeah,
day, but no, I'll really think about that. And then she asked me after she said that, where is it and stuff. It was just that simple little tiny act of kindness that says, hey, they actually care a little bit.
yeah, just kind of, I think, just for people that are just normal, just people that just go to church, just showing joy of Jesus to people and inviting them, just people at gas stations or people you work with. Word of mouth, I think, is, I think that's what really grows a church. I think it's that's the best thing you can do as a church member, is just go out and just show love to people and show kindness to people, and just invite people that are cutting your
Yeah,
hair. Or, that to me,
yeah,
that's what's going to bring people in. And if they see that joy coming off of you, they're going to want to get in on that. They're going to see.
yeah.
They're going to want a little piece of that.
Like it says, I think it's out of Matthew again, but a city on a hill cannot be hid, and uh, I'm going to paraphrase this one probably really bad, but a candle or lamp shouldn't be hid under a basket. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, that light's going to shine through and reach others,
Yeah.
and you ain't going to be able to hide it. You know what I'm talking
Uh huh.
about?
Yeah. Yeah. If there's something good going on in that church, like personally, if the spirit's moving in that church,
Yeah,
it's gonna blow up either way. Like there's just, like, whether we try to stop it, even if we try to stop it, like if God's moving in that church, He's gonna
yeah.
find a way to bring people
His
into
will
there. You know what I'm
supersedes
talking about?
us.
Like people are just gonna. Uh huh. Yeah, that's just the main thing. I think you gotta have the spirit moving in that church, and God's gonna find a way to get people in there to feel that and
Yeah.
become members.
But he can, like I said, use like us and use people. You know what I'm talking about? That's one way that he does work. Is it may be somebody
Yeah.
that goes to a group of people and it says, "Hey,
Oh
I'd
yeah.
like to invite all of you. If you find the time or something like that, come visit with us." Or just like a gas station lady, I really truly hope to see her. I don't. I hope with all my heart that she's there tomorrow, but I I'm not gonna be bummed out. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that like life is different for other people. It may not be today.
Yeah.
It might not be next month. It might be 3 months from now. She may say, "Hey, that boy invited me to church, and it seemed like he actually had a genuine care that he'd like to see me there, and I'm free next weekend, and I'm gonna go."
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe she gets in a hard time, and that she don't have nowhere else to turn, and she finally makes that turn to seeing what this Jesus thing is all about, and she remembers, hey,
Yeah,
that boy invited me to church. Let me go check that out. it
and
just
I
takes the
felt
spirit
good too.
moving. And I mean, you've seen.
I,
I mean,
I
you
don't
haven't been there long enough
mean
to
to
really see it,
interrupt you. Go ahead. Go
but
ahead.
but uh, but just
Yeah.
I mean, you already know the spirit's moving in that church, and just sincere pastor's been there. It's grown what
Yeah, it
50 more
started out from
members since he's
12,
been
and
there.
we sit anywhere from
Man, that
50
just
to
goes to show you.
60, somewhere around in there. I mean, it's blown up since he's had it.
Yeah, and I can guarantee it's
Yeah,
just going to keep
and I
blowing
can
up
tell
because
you
it's
another
got the
thing too.
spirit
I
moving
felt
in
good
it.
about it. Like I'm not the quiet like everybody who's listening and stuff. You may think that, oh well, this boy doesn't have no problem talking to anybody or anything like that, you know. But I'm I'm quiet. At one point, I was a recluse nearly bad, you know, and I can tell you it feels good. Like whenever you may not feel it right then or something, but like I mean, it felt great to invite that lady to church. You know what I'm talking about? It was almost like a adrenaline rush, and like you just know that's what the Holy Spirit wanted you to do. You know what I'm saying? Even if she doesn't come or something like
Yeah,
that, it's still I'm doing my part. You know what I'm talking about? And it makes me feel good to be part of something and help spread the word and stuff. Like I truly hope if that lady hadn't ever heard it before or has wrote it off, maybe she'll come and get saved and come to know Jesus and stuff. And that makes me happy. Like that makes my heart so happy that somebody may find Jesus. You know what I'm talking about? And turn from their ways that are wrong.
yeah,
And not me judging, but you know what I'm saying. And
mm-hmm,
that
yeah.
right, right.
Because we know what it's done
And
for us.
it truly can. I mean, you wouldn't believe how far we've come. Just as, I mean, we weren't like terrible by, yeah,
We weren't criminals, but we were we
yeah.
our
But
hearts were
by
probably as black as coal.
sin, by the way that we'd be judged, we were criminals and stuff. But now
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we're ransomed and redeemed,
We would have been
buddy.
judged.
We and
Yeah.
it's
Oh
exciting.
yeah.
It's like try to spread that to other people, where they can let the burdens go and whatever troubles them and stuff, where they can find that peace that we've been able to find. And I'm not saying that Christianity by no means is it. Well, I'm saved and it's going to be butterflies and sunshine. I mean, believe you me, there's going to be storms. There's going to be storms so dark that you can't see the other end. It seems like, but that's where faith comes in. You've got to have faith in Jesus, and He'll see you through it. It may not come out on the other side like you want to,
Yeah.
or how you think it will, but you're going to come out somehow on that other side. But you're going to be right where He wants you and right in the position where He needs you.
Yeah. Yeah. But you
Yes.
always gotta keep your eyes on him. Like I I love that
Uh-huh.
story with Peter walking on the water. You know, because when he kept his eyes on him, he was able to walking on the water during the storm. And that's what we got to do. Even in darkest storms, we just got to keep our eyes on him, and he'll. I mean, it might get scary, and like Peter, our faith is going to waver, and we're going to sometimes take our eyes off of him and
He
feel like
will.
we're going to drown, but he's
He
going to
most
pull us right
certainly
back
will.
out of it.
He's waiting there. He's just waiting right there watching you, you know?
Yeah, yeah, but we just gotta, and we gotta do that for others. We gotta plant those seeds so
Yes.
they can have that joy that we got. Because I mean, it's like you said, it we know what Jesus has done for us, and it feels good to be able to plant that seed in somebody else so that they can
Yes.
they can have that joy too. Because no matter what goes on here in our lives, the storms get tough. We know at the end of it, we're going to be delivered. We're
That's
going to
right.
be spending eternity with Him in heaven. And we just gotta, as Christians, we gotta help plant those seeds in others and spread that joy. Because a good illustration is, be fruitful and multiply. Multiply those. You plant a seed, and it sprouts up a
Bears
tree,
fruit.
and that tree it bears fruit, and those fruit produce seeds, which fall off the tree, and plant more trees, which bear more fruit. And that's the way I've always thought about that
really
little verse.
At it. And
you just got to be out there planting those seeds.
I mean, we can't do anything else. It's up to them, or really up to God. I mean, how far those roots dig and how tall that tree grows and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? How far you're willing to surrender and just allow him in, and that's all it takes. Is there's a lot of times you can't do anything yourself. We as Christians, and I've struggled with it. Well, I've done this again. I need to cut this out, buddy. I can't do nothing. I can't cut sin out of my life. But you know who can? Jesus. Colby can't clean himself up. I had to let Jesus, a lot of my problems and stuff like that. He had to pick me up and wash me off and brush it off of me. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? And then half the time it's like I'm ready to run right back and jump into the mud puddle. And
the flesh, it can't bend to the will of God. Our spirits have to basically force it. We can't give up that sin on our own.
That's right.
We have to give it to Him.
Put it. But anyways, everybody, we just passed an hour, so I think we're going to wrap this up. Is there anything you want to end on?
I think I've covered about all I can today.
I have 2 things for you, everybody. I want you to invite somebody to church, if you're in a church, and tell them that you love them, or that Jesus loves them. I guess that makes 3. But show them some love and compassion. This has been...
it'd be good to people.
This has been Colby. And good night, everybody. Carson.